What's up, guys? Welcome back to The Right Side. Today I want to talk about immigration and why we shouldn't be so accepting. Before we get into the video, subscribe and ring the bell if you want to help support and help the channel grow. And as always, if you like the video, be sure to hit the like button. With that said, let's get into it. Now, it's no secret that compared to other countries across time, the United States has a very unique relationship with immigration. Often called the melting pot, we have seen massive waves of immigration over our nearly 250-year history. Interestingly, the phrase melting pot itself dates back to the early 20th century, popularized by the play The Melting Pot by Israel Zangwill in 1908. The play depicted America as a place where different cultures and nationalities blended together to form a single unified society. One of the most iconic symbols of this legacy, of course, is the Statue of Liberty, which has stood in the New York harbor since 1886. Inscribed with Emma Lazarus' famous poem, The New Colossus, the statue has welcomed millions of immigrants who have arrived at Ellis Island, a processing station from 1892 to 1954. Over those years, Ellis Island processed more than 12 million immigrants, many of whom were escaping poverty, political oppression, or simply looking for a better life in the New World. Early immigrants were the backbone of the New World, bringing with them a strong work ethic and desire to build a better life for themselves and their families. Many of them were escaping dire conditions in Europe, and they saw America as a beacon of hope. These early arrivals didn't pose the same challenges associated with immigration that we face today, particularly when it comes to assimilation. In those days, early America thrived on the values of self-reliant, hardworking people living in close-knit communities where neighbors supported one another. The domestic free market with minimal governmental intervention drove economic growth and innovation. These people were eager to be part of the new world and proud to embrace the new American identity. They worked hard, learned English, and adopted American customs, fostering a strong sense of nationalism and unity. However, the problem with immigration is multifaceted. On one hand, the people we bring in need to be assimilated into American culture and accept our values. Unlike the waves of immigrants who passed through Ellis Island, today's immigrants aren't, and are instead keeping on to what they did in their home country, which is causing dysfunction. There is no consistent standard for who we bring in anymore, and this lack of assimilation can lead to cultural fragmentation rather than unity. And I'd argue that we are already seeing that across the country. On the other hand, another significant problem we are experiencing is the economic impact of immigration. Without clear standards or limits, we are flooding the country with cheap labor that undercuts American workers. Now, I know that this is a tired point that a lot of sides, pull when it's convenient for them, but this isn't a new phenomenon because it echoes the same concern of the early 20th century when industries capitalized on cheap immigrant labor, often to the detriment of native-born workers who feared wage suppression and job competition. Those times, the big titans were Rockefeller and Carnegie. But today, it's no different. We just have Bezos and Walton, big industry titans who employ hundreds of thousands of people, but benefit from flooding the country with cheap immigrant labor. Today, we see a similar dynamic where the influx of low-wage workers, particularly undocumented, can depress wages and make it harder for Americans to find good jobs. So why would a country allow this to happen? Of course, the answer lies in political and economic and humanitarian considerations, with some arguing it's about filling labor shortages or upholding America's tradition as a haven for the oppressed. However, we must ask ourselves if this approach is in the best interest of the country as a whole. If we bring in anyone, we need to bring in people who are better than us. People who will contribute positively to our society and strengthen the American fabric. I don't know who needs to hear it, but we aren't Ellis Island anymore. The world has changed, and so must our approach to immigration. We need to start prioritizing ourselves before we bring in people needlessly. America has a culture and a way of life built over centuries, and we must ensure that the people we bring in match that culture. Unfettered immigration, no screening or standards, is an invasion. The United States is being invaded right now. England is being invaded right now. European countries are being invaded right now. This isn't about xenophobia or about fear of different cultures. It's about survival. There will be people who say we have a moral obligation to bring in refugees. But the United States is not a battered women's shelter for the world. We don't bust down people's doors and force them to house or take in victims of crimes. So why should we allow our country to be overwhelmed by those who don't share our values or contribute to our society? So why should we allow our country to be overwhelmed by those who don't share our values or contribute to our society? The United States is at a critical point in its history. We have our own foundational population we need to act in the interest of. We are a nation with our own challenges, and we must focus on solving those before we take on the burdens of others. Even now, we're hearing Democratic leaders like Senator Chuck Schumer openly state that we must take in immigrants because our domestic birth rate is below replacement. Think about that for a moment. They want to replace us with immigrants. Immigrants are literally replacing us. This isn't just about population numbers. It's about erasing culture, values, and our way of life. These immigrants are not just replacing the native population for demographic reasons. They're also importing voters. The Democratic Party is strategically importing voters who are more likely to support their policies. They don't care if they support Medicare for all or if they care about gun control. What the immigrants care about is who lets them in. This concern is amplified by the push in some states to extend voting rights to non-citizens in local elections, or to grant a path for citizenship to millions of undocumented immigrants. Now, before you say anything, I know that undocumented immigrants cannot vote in federal elections. But even if these individuals are not immediately given the right to vote, their presence still affects the census data, which in turn impacts the allocation of electoral college votes, and with that, the balance of power across the country. If we continue down this path, we risk losing what makes America special. We need to start thinking strategically about our future. Immigrants should be about enhancing our country, not diluting it. It should be about bringing in the best and the brightest, those who will contribute to our economy, respect our laws, and embrace our culture. We have the right to be selective and ensure that the people we bring into this country are those who will make us stronger, not weaker. America is a nation of immigrants, but is also a nation of laws, values, and principles. We must find a balance between compassion and common sense, between openness and protection. We owe it to ourselves and to future generations to preserve the unique character of this great nation. The time has come to put America first. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd appreciate if you could hit a like button. If you'd like to support and help the channel grow, I'd appreciate if you could subscribe and ring the bell to stay up to date with all my content. Finally, whether you agree or disagree, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I look forward to engaging with you guys in thoughtful and respectful discussions. With that said, I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.